No, I mean, if you're asking me, am I worried that Israel has taken action that might be in breach of international law because this particular premises has been bombed or whatever? Yes, of course I am. Every day I look at what's happened and ask questions about, is this in line with international humanitarian law? Could the Israelis have done better to avoid civilian casualties? Of course I do that. But we don't believe that calling this genocide and claiming this as genocide is the right approach, and we don't agree with what South Africa is doing.
You've never had a piece of paper put in front of you by a Foreign Office lawyer that says that Israel is in breach of its international humanitarian commitments under international humanitarian law?
Look, the reason for not answering this question, I can't recall every single bit of paper that's been put in front of me. I look at everything. I mean, of course, there are lots of things that have happened where you think, well, surely that was something that shouldn't have happened, and so I don't want to answer that question because if you're asking me, am I worried that Israel has taken action that might be in breach of international law because this particular premises has been bombed or whatever? Yes, of course I'm worried about that, and that's why I consult the Foreign Office lawyers when giving this advice on arms exports. So that's why I don't. So if you put it that way, I'm happy to say yes, of course. Every day I look at what's happened and ask questions about, is this in line with international humanitarian law? Could the Israelis have done better to avoid civilian casualties? Of course I do that.
Have you received legal advice which says that Israel is in breach of international humanitarian?
The short answer to that is no. I want to qualify it instantly because it's not fair on the lawyers, because of course the lawyers give you lots of advice saying, look, we're worried about this event, that event, this event, that event. We're going to go away, we're going to consult with the Israeli authorities, we're going to ask a bunch of questions, and then we're going to give you considered legal advice, given everything, on the basis of capability, commitment and everything else. Have they broken international law? So that's why it's not really a yes or no answer. But I'm trying to be helpful by sort of explaining how the job works. But you're asking me specifically about the South African case. I don't think, our view is that Israel does have a right to defend itself, must act within international humanitarian law, should avoid civilian casualties, should do better on that grounds, but we don't believe that calling this genocide and claiming this as genocide is the right approach, and we don't agree with what South Africa is doing. In the short term, that is our goal, to see an end to this conflict. But our longer term goal is that we believe that there won't be true security either for Israel or for the Palestinians without moving towards a two-state solution. So we have a sort of short-term horizon of wanting to get to a sustainable ceasefire, which we can talk about, and then a longer-term horizon of recognizing that no ceasefire is really fully sustainable forever unless you actually have a political horizon. So I think, of course, no one wants to see escalation of conflict in the Middle East, but I think it's unacceptable to have the freedom of navigation affected in this way. So that's the position we take.